almost ready to start. Welcome to everyone. Thank you all for coming.
Good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon. My name is Giorgio Calculli, Giorgio, and I'm in charge of training and member relations area of ACIMIT, that is the Association of Italian Textile Machinery Manufacturers. Here we are for the last but one webinar on Italian textile technology. We are going to face technologies for knitting, more accurately on finishing for knitting. There will be two company presentations, and we are going to listen to the representatives of Ferraro and Salvage. As the previous one, this webinar is recorded and will be given to the National Textile University. Anyone wishing to ask questions can post them in the chat room. We are ready. Let's go quickly to the first panelist, Mr. Leo Petruccio from Ferraro. Mr. Leo Petruccio, after a small experience in the aircraft construction company, started to work in textile machinery manufacturing at Ferraro. During his experience, he worked in R&D, becoming technical director in after-sales service, in production and sale. Now he covers the role of executive director. Please, Mr. Leo, you are kindly requested to take the floor.
Okay, thank you to everybody. Good afternoon. This is Leo. After a good presentation of Giorgio, of myself, I will start immediately with the presentation of my company, which is Ferraro. I will share to you a presentation. Okay, my name is Leo Petruccio, and I am speaking at the moment as a technical director of Ferraro, SPA, Italian company, 70 years old, based near Milan in Italy. We, as already introduced during last week's presentation, to be a top quality company, it is required to care about some important points, such as, wait, sorry. I have a connection delay, sorry. Sorry, one moment, because the page is not going now. Sorry, we just tested, but okay. I was telling about some points that a good company must have in this modern period. The first is innovation. Innovation is the base of long life durability of a company, because we have always to think about what new we can do for our company and for our customers. Sustainable technology is an important point for the company, especially for manufacturing company, because we have to take care about the world we leave to our future generation. That is you and our children and nephew. Green label, this is related to the sustainable technology, and each of our machine is equipped of this label, which is stick on the machine, and it is reproducing the exact consume of the utilities of the machine. And this label is certified by an international certification organization, which is RINA, on below of the green label. And all the data of this label are made by kg of fabric. So any user of the machine can understand and can calculate exactly the consume of the machine for each kg of fabric. We have also to take care about our quality certification. In fact, Ferraro is qualified and certified with ISO 9001, 14001, 18001. And we are very proud of this because it takes care about all our employers, the manufacturing, and the quality of the machines. Another point which is very, very important for us is the new Industry 4.0, which is the new challenge of the manufacturing that includes the digitalization of all the data of the machine with the interconnection of the software in the companies. Research and development, which is linked to the first point, which is innovation. We take a lot of care of research and development because we think we have to make continued innovation regarding the quality and the performances of the machines. The experience, this is another important point, one of the most important points, because the human capital, the human resource is the base. And you are young people, but I think that you have to take always in mind of this. A company, a good success of a company is made mostly by human resource, by persons, by people. And because any company can have all the money, all the instruments, all the tools, but without skill and good people, the company cannot grow. Modularity, which is linked to a point, a modern point of the lean manufacturing, which is the research of production and manufacturing with high efficiency, low waste of material, of time, and better quality of the machines, but also of the life of people. Another point which is very, very important is the after-sales service, because our target is never to leave customers unattended. This is a very important point, especially in this period of COVID, because our engineers cannot travel, or at least have a lot of restrictions in traveling. So this continuous communication between our service and customers is at the base of our success. Our engineers team is constantly available to respond to all our customer needs. And we are also developing software of augmented reality in order to let the customer attend the machine as it should be in our site. Okay, let's start with the finishing machine. We started with the compactor, which is still our core business. Compactor is the last chain link of the textile process, because it's the last touch before making garments. Compactor is giving a very good hand feel to the fabric, because the fabric is becoming a garment, and the garment have to be worn by us. And we need flexibility, we need softness, and we need also dimension stability of the fabric, because the size we choose for our garment must be durable after a lot of washing. This in particular is a machine for tubular fabric, knitted fabric, of course, because this webinar is concentrated on the knitted fabric. It is a compact machine, but very efficient, and it is a inlet-outlet non-stop machine. It means that the machine is working, producing, without never stop the machine. The delivery of the machine can be in plated form, precision plated, or in roll form. An additional small module of our machine, and this is, I would like to recall the concept of modularity, is the polishing cylinder, which you can see at the end of the compactor, that give another effect to the fabric, which is a shining, soft shining effect. We also develop a machine which is working completely independent, two lines of fabric. It means that in one machine we can process two different fabric independently, and this is an efficient machine, because can double the production with only one machine. I will show you the video of the machine. This is the delivery with the precision plater. And this is the machine fully equipped. Spray system to humidify the fabric. Okay, the same machine, it is also manufactured for open width fabric. It means that many of our customers, they are not working only tubular fabric, but they slit the fabric and open. For that reason, we manufacturing also the machine for open width, which is exactly a felt compactor with all devices, included wave straightener as an optional, and open width compactor with the sanforizing machine between the pin chain and the felt compactor. This is a technology which improves the compression capability, so the stability of the fabric, and improve also a sort of silk and silicone touch effect on the fabric, which is very, very appreciated, especially on pigment printed fabric. The compactor machine, in some cases, can be also added at the exit of a center frame in order to have a full line of drying and compacting, calendering. This is the video of the open width compacting machine. It's a complete and complex machine. The length is about 20 meters and it has a pin chain, 10-meter long pin chain, which is needed to open the fabric and stabilize exactly the size and the width of the fabric. We are using computer, which is linked to the Industry 4.0, and all the data of the machine can be digitalized. This is the sulfurizing machine with the rubber. Okay, for several years, in order to have a good performances of a compacting machine, we started to manufacturing also tubular squeezer and slitting machine, which is working on wet fabric just after the dyeing machine and before dryers or stenter frames. This is the tubular balloon squeezer, which can be single, like this one, from the trolley of the dyed fabric, which is wet. It can be detorched from rope to the balloon and then squeezed and open it, then plated just to let the fabric go into the dryers. Or double, included two padders. The first one is for dewatering, and the second one is to include the softener to the fabric. This is the balloon squeezer. It is totally in stainless steel and recall the concept of quality, because being a machine for wet fabric, we must do according to the durability and long life. So it is totally made by stainless steel. This is the fuller, the pattern, and we develop a particular rubber compound which is called fair gum, and it is giving a very strong effect on the squeezing, releasing only 55–60% of water. The same concept is the slitting line, which is transforming the fabric from tubular, opening and squeezing. It is a machine with rope squeezer, the twister, opening basket with cutting, enzyme washing tank to remove all the enzyme residual on the fabric, and padder for squeeze the fabric and remove the major quantity of water. This is single and can be also with two padders with the same concept of the tubular squeezer, one for the watering The second one for software application. I will show you a small video of the slitting line. Also, this machine is for wet fabric, so it is totally made of stainless steel. And also in this case, the rubber compound for squeezing that we are using, it is our patented fair gum technology. This is the basket to cut and open the fabric. And this is the enzyme washing machine with a filter. The machine can be also used from open fabric to open fabric. This is called also rope opener and squeezer. This is the filter to filter the water from the residual, enzyme residual, especially for cotton and blending. Now we pass to a new technology, which is RotoClean, scouring machine for oil removal. It started from the idea to wash the fabric, remove the oil, but without wasting water. And this is linked again to the sustainable technology. It is a machine linked to a stander frame just on the process of heat setting that remove the knitting oil from the fabric just before the heat set procedure. It's a machine with a patented technology of a vibration of nozzle, which can make 500 pulses per minute and increase the washing efficiency and capacity 8 times compared to a fixed nozzle machine. It is linked, as I mentioned before, at the inlet of a stander frame just before the fuller, the padder, or in between the two padders, like this one. And I will show you the video, which is self-explanatory, about our patent and pulse movement. The oscillation of the nozzles make like a sort of brush on the fabric with water and chemical, which is a special sustainable chemical that separate the oil from the fabric, and the oil is filtered on this filter and totally separate from the water. This is the filter, and the water involved is totally recycled. You can see the flow now. It's coming from the bottom, filtered, and again pumped on the nozzle, and then recycled again. So the total consume of the water is the only water that is remaining on the fabric. There is no waste, and the product, the detergent we are using is a total ecological detergent. This is the concept. Remove lubricating oil left on the fabric by weaving and knitting process. This is the product that we are suggesting, which is a totally ecological product. This is the feature of the product, and it is a product which has a very short impact on the environment. And I would like to make a closing, which is the part that I mentioned at the beginning: sustainable technology and green label. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope to see you soon by real in the companies and to share opinion with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Leo for his explanation.
Thank you.
Let's move on with the second panelist of today, Mr. Mario Bruno from Salvage. Mr. Mario Bruno, Sales Director of Salvage, manufacturer of machines for printing and finishing sector. He has been working since 1997 in the textile sector, always in the sales, but with a strong attitude and technical background. Within this period, he could develop experiences in fabric printing and finishing and yarn dyeing. Please, Mario.
Good afternoon to everybody. Thanks for your attention. We go forward in a presentation which will be a little bit more, let's say, technical. You forgive me if I have no so much promotional things, but I want to focus about two main concepts on this presentation. So let me share with you the video. No, the video, but the presentation. Okay, on the video. Presentation. Okay. So one of our line that we have in our production is the line dedicated to the drying solution. Actually, we are born 53 years ago as a dryer maker. The company is born on a dryer maker after the printing machines. You just consider that the big majority of all the Zimmer printing machines over here in Italy, they have our dryer at the end. And then we developed our tensionless dryers. That was for many years, let's say the king of the drying for the fabric in all the companies. And then about 15 years ago, we developed our knitting tumbler dryer, which is a tumbler dryer dedicated to where we put quite a focus on elastic fabric, therefore, and so knitted for sure. So I want to talk about two main issues. One is the importance of the air instead of the temperature. The importance of the capability of moving a huge quantity of air inside of a dryer, and the complete insulation of a dryer. And the second would be for the shrinkage, which is nowadays one of the main requests the market is asking. Would they want a stable fabric before to go to the cutting line, before to go to the garmenting section. So these are the two main points. So we go straight forward to our tumbler dryer. Okay, our company is about is a medium company over in Italy with about 50 people, and mainly dedicated on engineering. And like all Italian company, as Leo said just a few minutes ago, we concentrate on one sector of the chain of the production chain of a fabric in order to be specified, and specifically we dedicate all day on these issues. So I want to focus the point number two, because in my opinion is very important. What differentiates Italian makers, Italian producer, machinery producer from everybody else is that we still have in our country quite big and still super high level market. So our customers, the customer we are challenging with, the customer that are asking every day to us to develop machines, they work on a niche market, on the fashion market, on the top level with new fibers, new fabric structure, and we have to satisfy them before. So it's a challenge day by day. And so we work, as I say here, the point number 2, use it to work synergically in partnership with our very demanding customers located in a very center. We are in Como area, and around few kilometers we have super high level customers in silk, in woven, in wool, but especially in cotton, viscose, polyester. So that is very important, as I think. And okay, so a machine is the machine I'm going to present is a tumbler or is a dryer. No, actually, is both of them. It is a tumbler, is a chamber of tumbler, but included in a shell of a dryer. Here you have 2 pictures where they show the difference of the behavior of the fabric inside of a tumbler dryer here, where the fabric goes back and forward in a tunnel and then hits 2 grids on the back side and on the front side of the fabric, and it can hit a different speed or a different temperature with a different inclination. So there are a lot of parameters you can modify, you can enable in order to have different effects on the fabric. And this is what happened on the fabric on a typical tensionless dryer. So where the fabric is going to take this S shape along all the circuit. So you see immediately that the mechanical action you can apply on the fabric is much more than a tumbler dryer. And that's why the efficiency in terms of drying and hand feel and shrinkage is more than the typical tensionless dryer that we still produce anyway. I'm talking about the drying theory now. In mathematics, to calculate the drying power of a dryer, 3 main variables has to be considered: the mass of air, the water movement, the thermal power that you apply, and the fabric dwell time inside of the chamber. So this is a typical picture. Don't laugh, but it is the picture of one of our city in the south of Italy, where the people is used to put the cloth outside of the window, let's say. But this is important because it shows one of the concepts that for us is very important. So the wind is much more powerful than the temperature. So a big quantity of air inside of the dryer is much better than to have a high temperature. So we are here located in the north of Italy, and we face many months with a temperature which is not more than 10 degrees. And I can tell you that you can dry faster in a 10 Celsius degrees day outside of a window if there is a lot of wind than what we do in July or August, where we are 35 to 40 degrees, but there's no wind. So the quantity, the mass of air is very important in this. We focus our machine on this. So, okay, thermal power, this is the thermal power is what you have to apply in order to keep the temperature inside of the chamber. And the thermal power depends on the mass of air that you move and the delta temperature of this mass of air. So the more air you have, and the lower you can keep the temperature, which also reflects on the cost and the consumption. So here it says the dwell time is the third point. So the more you stay inside of a chamber, and the better and the more efficient you are. So in a conventional dryer, like a standard frame or a tensionless dryer, the fabric goes inside of the dryer, goes out on this, and just along the let's say the total length of the machine. But in a tumbler dryer, the fabric goes back and forward on 2 different on two chambers, and then the more time you stay inside, the more efficient you are. So how does our Mach 5? We call Mach 5 the machine. Mach is the Mach number is the number that determines the speed of the sound. So give you the idea of the power of this machine. So this is a point that sometimes is difficult for me to make the people understand, that you can use the power of your motor in two different ways. It depends on the propeller shape that you use. So mandatory for the neat goods is the gentleness of the flow. So we use helicocentrifugal propeller. What does it mean, helicocentrifugal propeller? The helicocentrifugal propeller is a propeller where the blades are quite width. The width of the blades are bigger than a pure centrifugal propeller, which means that you move a huge quantity of air, but you don't create a big pressure. We don't need any big pressure in our machine because our machine, the circuit is very short. It's 2 meters. We don't need to send the fabric from one chamber 12 meters to the second one, which is 12 meters far. So we don't need the pressure. So all the power we have in our motor, we dedicate to create a huge quantity of air, 40,000 cubic meter of air per hour. 40,000 cubic meter of air per hour. All this explain why we can keep the temperature below. Normally our customer work in heated around 120, 130, maximum 135 Celsius degrees. So this is instead a typical propeller used by the people that needs instead to shake strongly the fabric against the grids. So this is ventilator is typically a propeller is a pure centrifugal and is suitable only for woven fabrics. This type of propeller has got a very narrow blades and permit an high rotation speed, so therefore an high pressure and a low flow rate. So you have a high fabric speed, low flow rate in terms of cubic meter, and you need a huge installed power to make it work, to make them work. This is okay. This is we go straight forward. This is our historical tensionless dryer. Okay, that we manufacture since already 53 years, and this is what as I told you before, how the fabric appears inside of this machine, and this is instead what happened in a tumbler dryer. You see, this is exactly our circuit. To go from one basket to the other one, the length of the tube is 1.2 meters. It's very short. That's why it's for knitted. That's why here you can put whatever knitted you want, even viscose, even rayon, even man-made fabric, which is even more difficult than cotton. Look at this. This is, in terms of productivity, this is very important because the fabric gets inside of the machine at the same speed of whatever dryer. But the air moves at 40 meters a second in the Mach 5, which is the double of every conventional dryer. And thanks to this way of work, the fabric dwell time is 4 times longer than in a conventional dryer. So Mach 5 can contain 70 to 80 meters of fabric versus a maximum 20 meters you have in a conventional dryer. So it's something like 3.5 times more, which Mach 5, even considering only productiveness, can perform about 15 times more than a conventional dryer. One other important tip for knitting people, you know this. When you open, like Leo showed before in their machine, when you slit and open a tubular knit, what you have is the salvage curling problems. This is a huge problem, especially when you have a lot of lycra before the thermal fixation inside of the fabric. So the salvage start to curl. In a typical conventional tensionless dryer, you don't have any chance because it's not the center frame. You don't have any pinching. So there is no question. You have a curling or salvage during the drying. So there is more difficult to dry. Instead of a Mach 5 on a tumbler dryer, the fabric is continuously in contact with a big mass of air, and the salvage will be made flat. So you can improve the speed, so you can improve the production. This is another application of our machine. You can see on the back of the is a continuous washing range. It's a raw form, continuous washing range, quite huge. You have a lot of them in Pakistan, sold by 2 other Italian manufacturers, which is MCS and Mezzera. And we have a lot of them around the world. They have inline a dryer. Inline you have our tumbler dryer. What does it mean this? If you can put a tumbler dryer in line with a longer and a big washing range, give you the idea on the drying capability of this machine. Normally you don't find tumble dryer in line with washing ranges, but in our case we did it. We have many of them. Let me talk now about one innovation thing that we launched in the latter ITMA. Unfortunately, COVID situation does not permit us to spread this explanation all over the world, because just after the ITMA, you remember, in few months we fell down in this particular situation that everybody hopes it finish soon. Anyway, the shrinkage needs and shrinkation, an innovative drying shrinking solution, I say here. So nowadays, a large quantity of garments undergo a process of garment washing to get a typical effect only this process can give. The cutting section of the garmenting department, I tried to have to calculate and consider the fabric resistor shrinkage at the time to cut the garment parts. So the very goal now is to provide them a dimensionally stable fabric with only few, let's say 2 to 4% of residual shrinkage, to be sure that when confectioning L size, let's say, it will remain L size of the shirt, of the t-shirt, or whatever you produce after its washing. So this is a picture where it shows what happened in the fabric when you shrink it. And then this is what is the standard solution that you have normally. I saw personally in a couple of customers in Pakistan. So where the people make a discontinued fabric garment washing to achieve the shrinkage. Then they pass the fabric to a centrifuge in order to hydroextract. And then they go to the discontinuous drum dryer. So it is of course easy to understand that this is a discontinuous process. You have a huge labor time, high costs, and a complex logistic. Not lots of people is working in everything. So what we launched in ITMA was the shrinking issue, and there's a continuous process solution. So we put online here a tank full of water where you have a continuous wetting, and there is where you achieve the shrinkage. Then completely, why we call the name onda. Onda in Italy means waves. So the fabric is always in wave shapes in order to avoid any elongation. So here in this onda wet tank, the fabric is on wave shapes, and then it goes on a tensionless dryer in order to be pre-dry. So this is make the job of this machine. This part is a continuous hydrostructure, so it makes the job of the discontinuous one, but in continuous way. And then you go, when you take out about 50% of the water, and then you go to the finished continuous tumble dryer, tensionless. And then you go upside again with the conveyor belt. So you have all line with no any tension, but it's continuous. So we convert the discontinuous process in a continuous process. Look at that. So here we have relaxant water shrinkage, which is the best. Everybody knows there is no better media to shrink a fabric than the water. So you shrink in the water, then you pre-dry here in a tensionless dryer, and then you go straight forward in the tensionless tumble dryer to give the end fill, the final shrinkage, and the final drying. So here is how the fabric appearance. Inside of this chamber, the fabric is in this condition, floating on the water, compact in waves, no any elongation. Then you go to the tensionless dryer. Again, the fabric is in an S shape, wave shape, no tension. And then you go in, finally, you finish in the tensionless tumbler dryer. So this is the line. So continuous process, the result about 98% of what you achieve in the standard one. Very low labor time, low cost, and very simple logistic. That's all. So I wanted to just to summarizing, two main concepts in this presentation. The value of a huge quantity of air included in a shell without any dissipation of heat. And the other one is, I shrink the fabric in continuous instead of in a discontinuous way. These are the two main concepts. So you will have all my emails and everything, and any question you have it, you can make it, you can write to me directly. I will be pleased to answer to you. And I will be pleased to visit you as soon as would be possible to go back to do our job that we suspended in the last almost 1.5 years, unfortunately.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks to Mario. Now we are ready for the answer and questions section of our webinar. I will ask our Pakistani host, Dr. Habib, if he has collected any questions for our panelists. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Giorgio. It's a nice presentation by Mr. Leo Petruccio and Mr. Mario Bruno. Hopefully the audience will get the benefit of the presentation and will get the latest information regarding the knitted fabric machines. A few attendees have put some question in chat room. I would like to just ask from our panelists. One of our panelists, one of our attendees asked, is there any research work going on to identify the faults in knitted fabric, such as drop stage, hole, etc., using digital methods, live image analysis somehow, so that these faults could be identified on the machines? Is it your machinery or your colleagues or someone is doing on that one, or you are doing on that one?
Sorry, the line, your audio was a little bit unstable. Yes. Can you repeat?
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Try again.
Okay. Actually, some of the attendees want to know that are you working on machines so that they can identify the knitted faults on your machine when it comes to the finishing part?
Okay. Knitting force, you mean strength on the machine? Strength?
No, the knitted fabric faults like some drop stitch, some holes, which are basically by the knitting section, that can be identified on using these machines?
Leo, vai tu, vado io?
If you mean, I think that the question is related to the fault analysis of the fabric, which normally is done on the inspection machine. Okay. Which is the last, let's say, revision of the fabric. For example, we have in our open width compactor, at the end of the delivery, we have a sort of inspection machine. At the moment, the best way to detect this defect is the eye of the skilled operator. Why? Because this defect can be everywhere on the fabric, and normally we are releasing a big lamp in inspection table with the lamp on the back and the lamp on the top, and the operator can check immediately which are the faults. Then I think that you mentioned about also the digitalization. This is another point, because there are some systems to detect, I mean, once you detect the fault, there are some devices on the panel of the machine which you can toggle the defect, and it is stored at which meter is the defect, which type of defect, and then this is stored on the, let's say, final list of the defect, and can be managed, analyzed, stored, everything. Okay, Mario?
No, I was working actually 3.5 years for Testa Testa makes probably the best, for sure, in my opinion, the best inspection machine all over the world. And we, at that time, we were using a EVS system, which is a system with the cameras that were able to detect these kind of defects and store it, as Leo said, in a file, in a computer, in order to optimize the cutting of the fabric there. Actually, I have to be honest to say that normally this is on woven fabric, which is more easy to have this kind of defect, because knitted fabric, if the machine is a good quality knitting machine, is quite difficult to see defects. In fact, you have a lot of inspection machine working in line with the standard frame in knitting. Very difficult you have on woven, because woven fabric, more easier, you have these kind of things. This kind of EVS camera, they work very well on some defect, not on all defect. And as Leo said, the capability of the human eyes, which is the human brain, is still better than this, what they call pattern recognition software works on camera. So you have to give them, you have to train the system to determine, to check these defects, which is not easy, especially on the printed fabric. If there is a lot of drawing, this system does not work. Yes. Instead, the human eyes, especially women human eyes, they are much faster than our one in detection. Here in Italy, all the inspection line are there are only women there, and I remember we found out they work double speed than every man, detecting these kind of defects.
Thank you. Next question from our candidate is, they want to ask, is it possible that we can improve the hand feel of the knitted fabric using the rotary printing techniques?
Rotary printing to improve the fabric hand feel?
Hand feel of the fabric. They just raise a question.
No, because rotary printing is rotary printing. So you print the fabric on a conventional way. You print some drawing on the fabric. Then, so the flow is this one. I tell you. You print, then you go to the steamer that they presented last week. After the steamer, you go to the washing range, and after the washing range, you have to go on the what Leo just presented on the sunforizing machine, a compactor with, before you have some meters, 12 meter, 9 meter, whatever, depending of little standing because after the you go to the tumbler dryer in order to have the end feel. Then after the tumbler dryer, when you improve the end feel, you have to equalize again the width. So you go in the machine that Leo just presented before, the open width compactor, where you equalize the width, and then you make the final compactation. You have a perfect, stable fabric, perfectly dry, clean it with the end feel. So the line is rotary printing, steamer, washing, tumbler drying, open width compactor, inspection, finish. And then you go to the garmenting section with a very stable maximum 2%, let's say 2-3%, depending if it's viscose, depending on the yarn count. It's difficult when the people ask us the numbers, because depending on the yarn count, depending is it open width or is a ring yarn, open end or ring yarn, yarn count, depending on the fiber, is cotton, is viscose, is rayon, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this is the line. This is the line.
Okay. Okay. Next question from our participant is that, is it possible to flat the knitted salvage on machine 5? The last machine, I think you will show.
On the last machine, you mean on the one?
On Mac 5, machine 5. I think.
This is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I said. When you go inside of the, with the knitting fabric, inside of the tensionless dryer, the fabric is just lie down on a conveyor belt.
Okay.
And what happened is that, especially depending on the quantity of lycra you have inside, that the salvage start to curl. And you are not like in a pin chain or in an open weight compactor like Leo explained before, where you have the possibility to keep the salvage flat, because the fabric is free to do anything it wants. Instead, when you are instead of the tumbler dryer, the fabric is making flat by the air. The huge flow of air keep the fabric flat. In fact, that's why when I say, when you go out, for sure the fabric will start curling again. There's no chance. This is for sure. That's why you must go on the open weight compactor that Leo just explained it before. You know, to open it again, fix it, going under the compactor, and then roll it immediately and finish.
So the next question was from our participant, that is there any way, or can anyone please suggest me how to measure the thermal conductivity of knitted fabric at different water content?
Sorry, lost you.
This was again with respect to a testing of the fabric. Actually, someone put there. He want to know that is it possible, or how to measure the thermal conductivity of knitted fabric at different water content percentages. This is related to testing, I think. Someone want to know about.
There are plenty of company making these sort of things, making any kind of test. Plenty.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't think Leo does.
No. It's normally it's a job of a laboratory.
Yes, exactly. You have a bunch of companies producing this kind of machine that you can find in the market. You just have to call the...
Also because the thermal conductivity depends, first of all, on the yarn, material, the diameter, the construction of the fabric, because the more rare and the more straight can interfere on the thermal conductivity. So it must be a job of a laboratory, and it is a experience job. It means must be calculated by test.
Absolutely. This has to be done much before the production. When they get the approval, then you go to the production line.
Yes.
So I think the last question, how we can control the GSM variation in fabric, specifically glass fabric, knitted fabric, on conditioning process? Is there a possible to control the GSM at that point?
But in line, you mean?
Just asked by a panelist, he want to know that is it possible to control the GSM variation in glass fabric at the stage of conditioning or during the conditioning process?
Conditioning process? What does mean?
I think it means during the finishing process, if can be controlled the GSM variation.
I know Erat is doing something. Erat produce something which in line check the distance between the weft and the row, whatever they make.
This there are two possibilities. The first one is optical, and it is made by a peak counter, which is detecting exactly the distance between the yarn of the knitted loop. And it is counting the peak for inches or for centimeter. And this signal of detecting can be, let's see, feedback. There can be a feedback on the compactor, on maybe also on the center frame, on the dryer. It means that you can improve a little bit the overfeeding of the, or the, let's say, the efficiency of the machine. The other point is the detecting of the weight. But detecting the weight of the fabric, there are some systems, but normally they are made by radiation. So nowadays is a little bit no more used for environment reason.
I think one more question just came. One participant just want to know why the knitted fabric have GSM more in central part. In central part, they found less GSM as compared to right and left sides. They want to know why. Is it related to actually knitting production?
This is because they are not using Salvage dryers.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, okay.
No, it's
normally,
a point.
normally,
Is
normally, I say, thank you very much, Leo. But it depends on the way you treat the knitted. If you have a machine which does not take care about the evenness of the strength that you apply, you can have this kind of problem. This is the only
yes, but I think the major point is the drying effect. If the drying effect is not even on the width of the fabric, especially in center frame, what happened? The central point, there is much more circulation of air. The point of the edges, there is less air. And Mario told exactly that it is much more important the wind than the temperature. So if there is uneven wind on the process, which is the drying process, there is a difference in humidity from the center to the edge, and this difference in humidity interfere on the difference of GSM, correct?
Yeah, this is very correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for all of you.
Okay, I think our webinar of today is over.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your attention. Thanks to our wonderful panelists.
Thank you to everybody.
Ciao.
And so we have 185 participants. It means that we have to visit 185 companies next time, okay? Right.
Leo, we can have until we are retired. Until we are retired, we have time.
I just to say that see you in 2 days for the last webinar of our series. Next Thursday, we will talk about finishing and printing, digital printing technology. So thank you all again.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
And
thank you very much. Bye. See you. Bye-bye.
Ciao Leo.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao Giorgio.
Ciao Giorgio. Ciao Habib.
Ciao ragazzi.